like this. See, so get a little thickness to it. Bend them a little bit. And then this one has a mark this way. Then it goes in this way. This one is bent this kind of way. And it straightens itself out. And it goes up here. Again, the perspective is this way. And it comes this way. Let's bring this in a little. Look better if we do that. And this one is this way. And I like the way this looks, so I'm not going to kill it. I'm going to leave it that way. I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one is kind of like this. And you can just about see that one. And then something happening down here. So I got a few white marks in there. That's okay. Leave those. Then get some lighter colors and let it disappear into. One of the important things that you can do, and I'm going to do it on a few places now, is you can take your brush with just a little bit of paint on it, mostly water, and you can start putting in places that you don't want to put the heavy color, but you want to just like start modeling this stuff, you know, giving it a shadow or blending something. And this is the way you do it with this. You start to blend and make things happen with that. And if you want to get some strength, you go back in and you get some strength. You get some color. And notice we have a bunch of it here and a little piece happening here. And something happening back here. And then you have the same thing happening in here. But that's how you'll do it. Make the things look kind of blocky, but keep your perspective. Okay, so this is not right, so we're going to make this work this way. This perspective is down, so this is no good. So I have it up too much. We're going to change it. See? We can bring this down too. The perspective is too much. We got two pieces of wood, stone, and something happening here. Okay, now, this is accented here. So we get some of the, oops, I'm using the wrong colors. So we see there are little accents here to set off that stone.
Yeah.
So put that in. That's where that stone is. And we keep highlighting once we get it in. Now, and this isn't even the detail work. There's other work that you do that is more of the detail stuff. This is only just getting the basics, you know, making it work for you. And giving yourself another stone here. And there's one down here. Something happening here. One here. See, it starts to take on a life of its own.
Yeah, it's coming
together. And
together.
then you go back, and like I said, you make these things blend. Just like I did the lettering, you make these things blend. You make these things not be so long, not be so short. Let them work. You don't take it all off, but you take a lot of it off. So that kind of looks more haphazard. And where I made the mistake before, I just took it out. Remember, I had the thing, I took it out. Now, You also can get this. Now I'm going to go back on a building for a sec, just for a second. I just want to show you what you can do here. Now, a little bit bigger because it's too small. Nice. Get a little bit bigger one. Now, something happened here. The door is breaking and it's falling apart, and so we're looking at this big old door, and it's pushed in. The top is pushed in. In other words, it's on an angle. This one is more this way. That one's that way. How do we make it look that way? Just by this perspective. Not only that, sometimes you have to do something. And so what we'll do is we'll get some color and we'll put it along the top. See? So we're going to take some of that and we're going to blend that and make it work. So something's going to happen. Oh, it's going to disappear in some places. That's okay. Some places it'll disappear, some it won't. And that's okay. That's what it's supposed to do. That one I don't like. And that one. See? So now we have the door is now more bent in. And it's just a simple few marks and lines, and the door is bent in. Visually, when you're looking from a distance, it looks fine. If you're right on top of it, you have a whole different feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, so now we're going to continue to accent some of these shadow lines. We have a shadow here. We have a shadow from the stick, remember? And look, the stick is almost done. Yeah. Now we're going to add graining to it, but first, before I do that, there's a shadow here. We want to accent that shadow. Okay, so we go back to where I was doing the shadows earlier. Remember I said this was the shadow grass one. So this is where the shadows were. So let's get some of this. Only a little bit of that. And we're going to go right up the side of the wall here. Right along this wall. And it helps to break it up. Let's just make sure I got it right here. Let me look. There it is. Okay, so the shadow will come here. Ooh. So we wind up with a little shadow there. And because that's another wall. So there also is a, now we already have some of our grass in there, but we'll straighten that out. Okay. Oh, that takes care of that. Now let's get some more of the shadow going this way. And you'll see what happens when we start to do it. Now, if the shadow looks uneven, color-wise, it's supposed to. That's because it's going over different colors. So it's supposed to do that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Now, to give it a deeper sense of shadow, you take and you get lots of water. See? Lots of water. Just like as if you were doing a watercolor. See? But you put a little white in it. Get it nice and deep.
Is this the gouache white?
Yep. Well, no, this is the
temper
mixed white. Yeah,
gotcha.
the temper. And then you're going to come out all the way out with that. See? Okay. And then you just use a wet you take some wet and you run that along there until it messes it up. And that's all right. Some is messed up, some isn't. It's an old barn, right?
Yep.
We do it on a smaller scale with this brush. First we do this, and we come in and do this. And we always use the same technique. So that kind of gives us a feeling there. A little bit of water. Try to retain some of the light there, though, just to give it a little highlight. Now, it looks kind of crooked on the bottom. That's because we don't have in the final thing, and that you use a detail brush for, and we come in and we start putting these things. And that kind of straightens everything up. You don't do it on everyone, but some you do real bad, real strong. These, for some reason, are smaller planks, and I don't know why. For some reason, they have smaller planks on this part of the barn and larger ones on the other. Okay. So now we have a feeling of this popping away. See it?
Yeah.
And you can kill this corner a little bit if you want to, but you really don't have to. But I'll just show you how that can be done. Doesn't have to be so harsh, so stark. You can actually come in here and kill the corner a little bit. And what that is with a mixture of light, but I wouldn't do the whole thing. Just some of it. Looks better.
So it's
a mixture of white and water, and what happens is the white kind of kills that edge a bit, and the water keeps it thin so that the paint still shows through. The shadow shows through, and the lighter part shows through.
okay.
But yet it kills the corner. And so it's like a softer, a round old board that's in there. You can do that with all of these and make them all round boards. That's when you're really starting to get into detail, when you do it that way. Because, you know, it's a lot to do that. So we see now we have an old wall started here, see it?
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, we can continue that wall.
So which white did you mix with the water, just to be clear on that?
The temper white.
again? Gotcha.
Yes. Just to kill that corner. There are a couple of other little details I want to talk about too.
All right.
So we have this, we have the shadow, we have the reason why the shadow. And now I just want to talk about this edge here and this part of the barn. This, if you notice, I made lighter. So maybe this is the weather side. I don't know. But we do need to lighten it up even more because the sky is kind of dark up here. And when you squint and look at it, it kind of disappears. And we don't want that. Now, if you use the temper white and you go on the, not on the sky, but on the barn, and you drag it up, and you keep dragging it until it lightens. You keep doing that, and eventually it'll keep lightening. And what happens that gives this whole feeling like the whole building kind of like a glow of daylight. And that's basically what it is. So you're using these thin layers, and you're going up and up with this opaque, and you're being sensitive to what's underneath it. And that will still show through, so it'll still relate. The underneath will show through. So it'll still be kind of pink, but yet you'll have this edge of the barn without killing it, because you have white down here. But we want to drag this a little further down so that it looks more natural. Like it was natural when we did it. See, because I did many layers here, it looks lighter. I didn't use only one layer here, so it kept it pink or light, red, and so that there's a difference between the white background and and then you have the sky has a better feeling. You know, it stands out in the building. It's like you're outside, for real, but it really isn't. So the job of the artist rather, is to fool the eye, as they say. Now you try to get a long-haired flat, if you have one, which I'm looking for one. This one is the best. Not a flat, a round, a long-hair round. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of texture on this. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. But first, before I do that, let me put some more stuff that happened. Now, sometimes when the guys are working on they're getting the horses or whatever it takes, and the horse kicked and the guys, whatever, and it got stuff on the barn. So we want to put that stuff. Something happened. It's not grass. Something happened. The guy ran against the barn with something. And over a lot of years, it starts to look odd. Now, what you do is there's a lot of water. It's almost like watercolor. And you're putting it in. That's what this stuff is supposed to be. And we're going to have some finer details. These are little finer ones. Little finer lines. Something happened and banged up the edge of the barn up here too. A lawnmower hit against the wall a bunch of times and it did something. This line I'll take out. That green comes out of there. We don't want that green in there. I mean that dark in there. We're going to have grass. So we have little things that are happening on the building. This is all while I'm waiting for that brush to soften. Now the brush is soft. No, it isn't. Not yet. It will be. I've got too much paint on it. I have a lot of paint on this one. But I want to use this brush. I'm being stubborn. But I want to use the brush for a reason. I need a big... Well, guess what? It won. The brush won. I gave up.
Giving up, okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to get this one. I'm going to put this one to work. The brush won that time. Not going to win the next fight. All right, so we take a little bit of this. Okay. A little bit of this. And we're going to give, what we're doing is we're going to try and give the barn some texture, where some of the wood, where it wore off some of the paint, we're going to give it some texture. So some of the wood sometimes is sawn, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to go, and we're going to go up the wood with saw marks. See? And some of them are going to be stronger than others.
Oh, somebody's here.
Yeah.
You want me to pause?
Yes.